welcome to the next chapter. I am Sandi Craig, your 5th day of the week host for this time slot, and we are excited that you've joined us today because, again, we have a great show ahead. And if you want to know who I am, well, my husband and I pastor a congregation here in Amarillo, Texas. Yes, we are in Amarillo, Texas, called Life of Worship. And we have live services on YouTube on Saturdays, and you can tune in when we go live on YouTube. It's about 6 p.m. Central, but we also have our Pal Talk room open because we have our Torah study, our Bible study at 2 p.m. Central, and then we start our services at 5 p.m. Central. I know that's a lot of information, but I can make it easier for you. Just go to www.lifeofworshipamarillo.org, and you can find out more information. In fact, I'm going to give you some right now. Dr. Halissa Alawine will be here. She's arriving tomorrow, and she will be speaking tomorrow night, Friday, and Saturday. So Friday at 6:30 p.m. and Saturday at 2 and 5. And we would love for you to join us for that because it is going to be an amazing time of learning and word and fellowship and worship and so much more. So if you can come in, then do so. If not, tune in on our YouTube channel, Life of Worship Amarillo. Skip the O and you can find us. Look under Sandi Craig or both. You'll find us there. But we also do a couple of other things. When I say we, I'm speaking of my husband as well because we are a team. But we are the host of the Monday morning War Room Prayers. He also hosts Let Us Reason Together Monday at this time slot, 8:45 a.m. Central. And then we do Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central, Walking in Spirit and Truth. And, of course, this show. And then you may see us pop around this network over and over again because we love it so much. And we love what this network stands for and what it's doing. Hallelujah for that.
Thank you.
We have an exciting show ahead. It's called Battle of the Mind. And get this, insane, crazy, and normal. Is that a tickler for you? You don't want to miss a bit of it. We're also going to be talking about the health benefits of garlic and the news and so much more. So just call everybody, like this program, like it if you're on Facebook, subscribe to the Messianic Lamb Video Network, and also share this because help us get the word out. And we'll ignore him for a minute because he's not officially here yet. Yeah, we're ignoring you. So no, you don't have to get out of the picture. All right.
There's a man in your house.
There is a man in my house that's peeking around the corner. Well, I want to introduce our my co-hosts. And first up is Miss Sherry Flannigan. We are so excited that you're here. You just got through doing Thursday War Room Prayers, and you also host his great name, and you are broadcasting right from Ashland, Mississippi. Hello, Sherry.
Hello. How are y'all this morning?
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Was it great starting your day with prayer?
It's always, that may be a subject we need to bring. If we just realize that we are going before the God of the universe, that he hears and answers our prayers. I mean, it can be overwhelming. Yep. It really can. And how much we can change in people's lives, in this earth, in this world. It's just, if I think about it, it's like, wow, everything we prayed about changed something today. God hears and answers our prayers, help somebody in their life.
That's
so
right.
Anyway, we're not talking about prayer, we're talking about the mind.
Well,
mind this morning.
Thank you for joining us, and hello, Joe and Satya and Tova and everybody else whom I haven't named or who will be watching in the future. Thank you for joining us. Let us know what you're thinking. We'll at least scroll it. We'll do something. We'll do something with it. Well, there are more people than Sherry and I on the program today. Our next host is Mark David Smith, the creator of Messianic Lamb Network, and he is broadcasting from North Carolina. And we are so glad that you're here, Mark, and we like your I got to be the right way. Up there. So backwards. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
It is cool.
Yeah, if you can't read it, then I'm gonna put a railroad track in here that runs me back and forth, or it's more like a pinball machine. Boom, boom, boom. What? Never mind.
I love it.
That way you can read it.
Well, I can read it. It looks good.
Okay. You can read it. You can read it. You can read through me.
I can read. Haven't you seen those studies where very few letters in the words have to even be there or be correct, and you can still read it?
Speed reading.
Well, yeah, but you'll see. Anyway, it's crazy.
Say I took Evelyn Woodhead's sped reading course, and now I can read at a speed of 3 words per minute.
Well, we're about to introduce you, Mr. Craig, and he just walked off. I'm completely ignoring you right now, Mark. So I don't know what to say. I guess John wants a long introduction. John, my husband, the co-pastor of Life of Worship, because we pastor side by side. Are you really going to come in anytime soon? John Craig. And he does.
I just flew in.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, I agree. Whatever.
Hey, good morning, everyone. It's good to be here. And Mark, I just had this great thought for you and your backgrounds there. And just an idea. You know how you took your hat off and, your head kind of had disappeared and stuff? Mark, what would happen if you wore all black? And would it just be your head bouncing around on your screen?
Oh, wow. The things you guys think of.
I don't know.
You made him leave.
I made him leave. I saw that his screen froze up.
Okay. Well, he'll be back. Well, this is going on. I have a question for you, and Mark's going to have to answer this as well later on. And I'll actually put it in the chat room right now. It's our question of the day, and we haven't done it in a few weeks, but we're not going to skip today. And maybe you know the answer to this, but it's just over 30% of men say they fear this. What do you think that 30% of men fear, Mr. Craig? Do you fear anything?
I
am married to you, so I do know the answer to that.
30% men fear this. 30%. Okay, not like 50 or 60 or 90. But only 30% fear this. Loss of health. I don't know.
Okay, so that's your guess. Sherry, do you have a guess?
They fear women.
Women.
That's a pretty good guess. Hey, does anyone in our chat rooms, do you have an idea what 30% of men say they fear?
Joe said commitment.
Commitment. I think that's over 30. Well, I hear silence. I was hoping to ask Mr. Mark David Smith this question, but he'll be joining us soon, I hope. In fact, we're going to just save the answer for that question because I'm going to go into some news attack. Yeah, the weird news, the weird and crazy news. Walmart is testing driverless grocery deliveries. Walmart is experimenting with autonomous grocery deliveries. Wawa is launching a pilot program in Houston that will use Neuro R1 self-driving vehicle to shuttle food from select stores to customers who've opted into the program. The companies didn't outline how customers would enroll, but Houstonians can expect service to start shortly in the coming weeks. So would you want autonomous, a driverless grocery delivery to your house?
So what's it do? It pulls up to your front of your house and honks?
That's a good question. Beep, beep.
And what if you don't go out there in time to go pick it up? Do they drive away with it? And then, and what about, if it's a marked car, Walmart driverless delivery, will it get hijacked? And it's in Houston. Will it go into the Fifth Ward in Houston? I mean, do they limit where they go?
They don't know. Most people don't know what the Fifth Ward is.
The Fifth Ward is like the absolute no-go zone in Houston, Texas. When I was a private detective, I had to do a stakeout there. I stuck out like a sore thumb. I had several people knock on the window saying, "Are you okay? Do you need to be here?" There was actually good people in the Fifth Ward, but...
Well, so you would not opt in on this?
No.
All right. What about you, Sherry?
I think it's a risk, in my opinion. I don't know if that's a good business decision or not. Maybe it is a good business decision, but they're trying it out in Houston.
Well, you wouldn't have to tip them.
There you go. That's a good reason. Okay. That's something to think of.
I don't know. It's getting kind of scary when you look at some of the old robot movies. You know where all the robots
that's true.
take over?
And you know those things sort of tell us what's coming, is what they say. And yeah. Well, I have some more wacky news. Well, I don't know if it's wacky news. A man in China was detained for multiple thefts of women's high-heeled shoes. Police received the tip and searched the man's house, where they found more than 180 pairs of high-heel shoes. That's a little weird. That's just weird.
He's just preparing. Are they different sizes, or did they fit his feet?
My little blurb did not tell me that information.
Was he short?
Don't know any of that.
Well,
You know where high heels came from.
Where?
Louis the 14th, he wore red heels because it made him taller.
Hey, you know, okay, all right. So I have a confession. In the 70s, because remember, it was the 70s, there was a thing called platform shoes.
Yes. Men wore.
And that was one of the things. I wore platform shoes. They had a little like
you did?
Yeah, I mean, you actually had a sole that was like super thick. I didn't wear them all the time.
I can't imagine
It
that.
was just
Were you taller?
It was just, you did the disco and all of that stuff. Bell bottoms. You wore
You had a necklace.
Shirt open.
I need to, when somebody else is talking, I'm going to pull a picture, because John had Farrah Fawcett feathered hair too.
John had hair.
But it was Farrah Fawcett feathered back. So when somebody else is talking, I'm going to have to find the picture and see what we can do to get that on. Let everybody see.
Afros were in. And
but John
had a friend at church that he had a big, huge afro. He was in a musical band back then. And his daughter read across his picture, and she's saying, "Daddy, were you sick or something?" He said, "No, darling, I just had a lot of hair back then."
A lot of hair. Well, we want to see that. I know what people want to see that. Mark, I have a question for you. It's the question of the day that 30% of men say they fear this thing.
They hear what?
They fear. 30% of men say they fear this one thing. Satya said they fear the wife, and Joe said dancing. My hubby fears dancing. And that's David's answer.
I say it is they fear going insane.
Oh, to bring us to our show's topic. That's it. Well, I'm going to give you the answer, because David's right. 30% of men fear dancing. Yeah. I say, there's nothing more powerful than men dancing. Hey, let's see that one more time.
We're gonna have to.
It's hard to do when you got the green screen.
Oh, I've seen that picture before when you showed it on the show. Not too long ago.
Check out the flannels, man.
Yeah, buddy. I have other ones here, but I can't find them.
Don't make fun of the flannels. Bob still wears them.
I'm going to tell you something.
He gets out on that river wind, and he's like, "Give him that flannel shirt."
You know what? I have a insulated flannel shirt. I love it. And it's like shredding. It's totally shredding. I can't find insulated flannel shirts anywhere.
Try Duluth trading.
Duluth trading. You can try that.
Duluth,
but let me tell you
right.
this. It's disgusting to look at it. Oh, there's another picture, everybody.
It's hard to see with the green screen. Anyway.
It is harder to see with that.
So Mark, I don't know if you heard my comment, but But what you need to do now that you've got the green screen is wear all black. So it's just like
when he's got that on, when he's got the
like a bouncing head.
Well, no, it'd be green. I'd have to wear green.
Oh, wear all green. Is that what it was? Well, when you took your head off the other day, you lost part of your head.
What you're looking at right there. Well, see, that's what I could take. This is a green cloth right here. What I'm looking at is green. And you see this, which is a picture. So if I would take the green cloth down, which you guys have seen the black, and then just wear black, then I'd be a talking head, a floating head.
There you go. Well, here's something else is you can do the weather now.
Oh, I need to do that. That would be a great backdrop. Oh, I'm going to do that. That's
write that idea down.
Thank you. I like it a lot. We'll have to do that sometime.
Oh my.
We'll do it on the compass of cram.
That's awesome.
Well, we are going to go right into our health segment because there's a lot to discuss on the show today. So stay tuned for health from the inside out. Well, today we are talking about the health benefits of garlic. Yeah, garlic. So you may think, it's good in food, but there's so much more to know about garlic. And I want to thank Tova Ratson. I've thought about garlic before, but it just brought it to my attention. I think it's time to talk about garlic because in ancient times it was valued for because of many health benefiting properties. And in some cultures, it still is. We sometimes shy away from it because it's a little smelly. But let me tell you that it's worth looking into because in the old times of the ancients, it was used as bug repellent. Medieval Europe used it against plagues, and Egyptians even buried their dead with it because it was so important. Some benefits of the garlic are credited to the presence of the sulfur-containing compound allicin, found in fresh, crushed, or chewed garlic. And it has antibacterial, antifungal properties. Oh my, you may have to help me out here.
All right. So every 100 grams of garlic will serve you with close to 150 calories, 33 grams of carbs, 6.36 grams of protein. Garlic is also enriched with vitamin B1, B2, B3, B6, folate, vitamin C, calcium, iron, magnesium, manganese, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, and zinc. All in a little clove of garlic.
Now, here's what's really good is that high sulfur content in garlic gives you that antibiotic property, and it keeps your digestive system clean by flushing out all those toxins. It even helps to build your immunity against common cold and prevents heart ailments because it cleans up your arteries. It's great for rejuvenation and healing of the skin. But here's the deal. Place a clove of garlic between your teeth, bite a little of it to release its extracts, and then swallow it. The whole thing. I didn't say crush it up. Didn't say put it in your food. Bite it, release everything, and then swallow it. Some say you need to wait 15 minutes so all of the properties come. But whichever way it is, swallow that whole garlic clove. Why? For one reason, it's a blood purifier. The root cause of acne is because your blood needs cleaned up. And so what do? You take two cloves of raw garlic with warm water every day, early in the morning, and consume a lot of water all day long throughout the day. And if you're looking to shed some pounds, squeeze the juice of a half lemon in a glass of lukewarm water and have it with 2 cloves of garlic in the morning. Don't look so disgusted.
I'm demonstrating.
Oh, you're demonstrating. So
Crush it between your teeth.
Well, eating the garlic actually helps with the absorption of nutrients, and it helps your digestive system. It also helps you push off fatigue. So you do need to have some garlic. Yeah, there you go. Think about this. It also helps in lung and throat problems due to its pungent smell, since consuming garlic can irritate the digestive tract because of its pungent smell. A signal travels to your brain. You're going to demonstrate? And it releases watery fluid in the lungs to counter the pungent property, thereby clearing out your lungs for a cough because of coughs and colds. And speaking of that, it helps with cold and flu. Taking 2 to 3 cloves of raw garlic specifically, or sipping it in some tea with a touch of honey or ginger for taste is going to relieve stuffed nose and cure the cold, but it also builds your immunity against having more colds. Yeah. It said that during World War II that garlic was called Russian penicillin because you would have 60% fewer colds and faster recovery. You would recover from colds in a day and a half instead of 5 days if you ended up having one. So take your garlic. But there's more. Yes, there is more. It prevents heart disease because it helps lower your cholesterol levels because of the antioxidant properties of allicin. It is also immensely beneficial to regulate blood pressure. But it's imperative to consume the garlic raw. You really need to have raw garlic. It's also antibacterial and antiparasitic. It's used as an antibiotic to treat bacterial and fungal and parasitic infections, and it has been since the beginning. Right. Diluted garlic extract helps children with tapeworm infection, and a garlic-based mouthwash doesn't sound like fresh breath, but in very small quantities, it helps ward off cavity-causing bacteria. And here's another big one. Studies have shown that it helps prevent cancer because there's an association between the daily consumption of garlic and the prevention of stomach and colorectal cancers, as well as prostate and breast cancer and others. It's very effective because of that hydrogen sulfide production. It also reduces the risk of esophageal and stomach cancers. You have 1 crushed garlic within an hour. Guess what? The expression of your genes related to cancer, anti-cancer causing immunity, it builds that immunity, and it boosts up the bloodstream within hours, going after things that shouldn't be there. Yeah. It also helps your skin and your hair. Yeah, it helps your skin and your hair because it gets rid of the free radicals and slows down the depletion of collagen, which leads to the loss of its elasticity. And that's what causes aging skin to look aged. Yeah. Now, I will say this next part is controversial because some people say do not apply garlic to the skin. In fact, there's an article out that has shown severe burn-like parts of the skin when the garlic was placed. So I'm going to give you the links to the different sources that we use, but applied topically, some say it helps treat fungal infections. And also helps eczema. But again, beware of that because I've also seen the videos where it burns the skin. But it also helps your hair. It says that you rub some garlic infused oil on your scalp and it helps rebuild thinning hair. So again, that's a topical application. So do some research before you actually do those things. It helps pull your splinters out. Yeah, it does. Think about that's pretty cool. Research has shown that crushed garlic can prevent infection that comes to burn patients. So that's another good reason. It also has an anti-inflammatory effect because it will benefit your musculoskeletal system and your respiratory system and help out with arthritis because it has anti-arthritic properties, and it helps reduce the inflammation of your airway too. It also said to help obesity because obesity, as studies are going on, is partly caused by inflammation of the body. So it reduces that inflammation. So it helps with obesity. And don't forget that garlic and detoxification work hand in hand. That's very, very, very important. Detox your body. It helps cleanse that liver of all of the environmental things that you come across just in your everyday life, not to mention what you put in your body. So it has a great detoxing ability. And remember, that's important because a lot of cancer is caused because of DNA damage, and that is taken care of through detoxing. Garlic also has a calming effect. So they say, put it under your pillow. Yeah, for the first couple of days, it might be a little difficult, but after a few days of keeping garlic under your pillow, you're going to sleep much better. It helps you with toothaches and repels mosquitoes and earaches and coughs and so much more. But here's something you need to remember. Most of us apply and cook with garlic incorrectly. If you want some of those properties to go into your food, cut the garlic up and then let it sit for 15 minutes. Yeah, I said before you apply it to your food. Now, here's a problem. Most applications, whether it's boiling or stir frying, et cetera, destroy almost all of these properties in garlic. The best way to consume it is raw. Now, when you roast it, it will keep some of those properties, but not much. You want to have raw garlic. Yeah. So what do you think of that? Raw garlic. But here's a tea. Here's a recipe for tea. For your tea, have it 30 minutes before you go to bed. It's going to help you out. You have 1 clove of garlic that's crushed, garlic milk, and a teaspoon of honey. Combine the garlic and the milk in a saucepan. Let it boil for 3 minutes. Return and remove it from the heat. Let it cool. Add some honey, and you'll sleep well. So garlic, do your research on it, because there's a lot of things that garlic can do. There's a lot of things that Yahweh has given us that will naturally help us fight off things, but will heal us, heal our bodies. He's given us these tools. We've forgotten about it. And that's what I have to say about garlic. And I remember when I married you, you always took garlic pills. And by the way, it takes 27 capsules to get the 27 capsules of garlic to get the same benefits as 1/2 clove of raw crushed garlic. And it's recommended that you have 1 full clove. So you would need to take much more. You need to take a whole bottle of garlic to have the effects of 1 clove of garlic in your body. But you took it when we got married.
Yeah. But I have a question. It didn't say anything about how it affects your love life.
Oh, I do have an answer for that. When I was looking, it talked about taking parsley with garlic will remove the smell.
All I can say is that when I've had Caesar salad,
I go,
it's like,
John, have you had garlic today? Or yesterday? Did you have garlic within the last 24 hours? Yeah. But when I was looking up all this stuff, it said take parsley. Parsley will help offset the odor. So consume garlic with parsley, and you're not going to get the bad smell. And Tova says that parsley is great for your kidneys. So there you get a double benefit from that.
So is that why they always used to put those little parsley cloves on your plates at a restaurant? Is so that you can, anything garlicky, you just eat your parsley.
Think so.
And then your love life is still protected.
Tova does warn, as much as garlic burns your skin, there's no way she would ever put it on your skin. And remember,
I can't imagine holding it in your mouth for 15 minutes for that.
No, you're not holding it. You're cutting it. If you wait for 15 minutes, you're just letting it sit there. Then you swallow it whole, but you break it. You crush it with your teeth initially. And some said to just go ahead and swallow it right at there. And others said, let it sit 15 minutes so that the properties are released.
Not in your mouth. Not when you crush it.
No, you're not holding it.
In your mouth for 15 minutes. Like, that's kind of nasty.
Anyway, so.
I mean, I like garlic in food. Don't get me wrong. I just think it would be really hot in the mouth.
If you're swallowing, it's irrelevant.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Anyway,
I just think it's a relationship killer if you just.
I just told you how to solve that. Parsley and garlic together.
Okay, there you go.
Right.
Just saying.
Okay. Well, everybody, that is our health segment for the day. Does anybody want to say anything real quick on it? Sherry, Mark? Yes, Sherry.
The reason why you can't get rid of the odor is because it's not in the breath or in the stomach. It's sulfur compounds that are released in your bloodstream. So that's why it won't go away. And there's actually a study that some university students were doing about other foods that you can eat, like you were saying, parsley that you can eat with garlic that will cut down on the odor or get rid of it. And one of them was apples and mint. And they said they found the one on apples by accident. One of the students was eating the garlic and the smell wasn't there. And so they went back on what he'd eaten earlier, and he'd eaten apples. So they ate apples with the garlic, which I can't even imagine, but apples with the garlic. And it cut down on the smell. But, you know, like Bob says, you talk about your love life, Bob will say just eat garlic as self-defense. If you're eating garlic, you eat it too for self-defense.
Mark, did you have something you wanted to chime in on?
Are there any benefits for vampires?
I have nothing to say about that.
Bob had a guy on the boat that ate garlic. He said nobody would sit at the table with him and eat. He said there's an old captain said he ate it. He'd just pick up cloves and eat it like this. And he said, didn't nobody want to be around him.
Well, I don't know, folks. You heard it.
Way to keep vampires away, Mark.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. But, you know, all the vampires I've met said, no big deal. We eat it on a regular basis.
Well, to go back, what Sandi was talking about earlier is that I had been on a fast and then had a Caesar salad. And she said, did you have garlic? And she says, it's just coming out of your pores.
You know what? It's what the sulfur's released, but it happens every time you eat garlic. Sorry, honey. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Enough of the garlic.
There you go.
It's time to go forward because we want to hear what John has for the news today. So here's our news segment.
All righty then. All right. So on this news segment today, this is kind of an interesting thing. It's starting to get some news traction out there. I wanted to bring it to the forefront so people can be prepared. And I got this report over from Mike Adams at Natural News. By the way, Natural News actually came under attack. Their website was attacked. That's a whole nother thing, but because of their discussion about vaccinations. But nevertheless, this one is about weaponized coronavirus invades the USA as world panics over possible pandemic. And this is not to fear monger or anything like this. This is just reporting on what's going on. So the next wave attack against humanity has been unleashed, the so-called novel coronavirus, that's 2019-NCOV, is now spreading across mainland China. And with the Chinese New Year travel surge underway, Chinese residents are exporting the virus everywhere. Confirmed cases have cropped up in Taiwan, and the CDC has confirmed that at least one patient in the United States has been infected and hospitalized after being misdiagnosed for a week, during which he most likely spread the infections to others. And this is as covered by Alt Market. It says that the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention on Tuesday confirmed the first U.S. case of coronavirus. It's killed 6 people in China. The CDC and Washington state officials said the man in his 30s was in good condition at Providence Regional Medical Center in Everett. The symptoms presented Sunday and the diagnosis was confirmed Monday. So going on, it says that the confirmation of human-to-human spread in Asia certainly increases our concern. And that's from Nancy Monsignor, director of the National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases. So going on, it talks about that the cases have been spreading to Japan, South Korea, Thailand, Taiwan, the Philippines, Australia, and now the United States, reports DC Clothesline. And also the question is it already in Mexico? One case of coronavirus has been confirmed in Mexico involving a 57-year-old Asian man whose stops included Tijuana, Beijing, and Wuhan. Wuhan is where it had all started. And besides where it started, it says upwards to 20,000 people already infected in China, according to estimates. Of course, what type of confirmed information can you get from China? But 20,000 unconfirmed cases, according to Imperial College of London. They've confirmed 440 cases, which is equivalent to almost 20,000 unconfirmed cases. Going on and talking about this, and this is where it gets very interesting, is it a bioengineered weaponized viral strain? What seems obvious from the rapid adaptation of this viral strain, which has now achieved human-to-human transmission, is that it's been engineered as a self-replicating weapon system to achieve globalist depopulation goals. The long incubation period that seems to be presently observed allows the viral strain to spread in stealth mode, largely undetected until a payload fully activates. The longer incubation period, the more people are infected and become silent carriers, even if they don't know they're infected. Currently, the coronavirus is believed to have a low fatality rate, something less than 5%. However, this may change as the viral strains adapts or is altering through transgenic effects emerging from exposure to other circulating viral strains. Now, bottom line is humanity is now under a serious threat from these engineered bioweapons. What's very interesting, I read one report, is that people that are getting the vaccination seem to be the ones that are spreading it. And that's something that you need to do your own research on. The recommendation is that for this best remedy that works best against this particular strain, however, is entirely unknown. And if you're affected or you're afflicted with this coronavirus, you should seek out immediate help from a naturopathic physician, because if the CDC gets their hands on you, they'll probably deprive you of any access of natural medicine while they take biopsies and blood samples and turn you into a human lab rat. So
take some garlic.
Take some garlic. There you go. So those are some things that's going on. It's spreading, and it's in the United States now. So be aware. They're also saying that it could have the effect, if this thing transmutates as what they're seeing, is that it could possibly spread and become like the 2018 swine flu epidemic that hit worldwide, which I actually had relatives that passed from that. So there you go. There's some information on this coronavirus. You need to be paying attention. Make sure that you're taking health effects. Now, I wanted to say this. There have been 3 cities now in China besides Wuhan, 2 others besides Wuhan. They've been shut down, locked down. They're not letting people in or out. And now they're having supply chain issues where there's no food in the grocery stores. And there has been an increase in robberies and crime, because people are trying to find ways to eat and survive because there's no food coming in or out.
Well, I'd heard that a while back, because I was reading something on this earlier this week or last week, and that they had been very closely monitoring planes that were coming from the Asia area. I have no idea.
Yeah, in fact,
but they very downplayed it. They didn't. It wasn't.
Actually, they are. They've added 2 more cities. I think it was Chicago and Atlanta are now checking. There's about a handful of cities that they actually are doing active work to identify people that are coming in with fevers. So,
hey, you guys, do you have anything you want to say about this, Sherry?
It just comes more and more and more clear that we're going to have to trust the Lord for more and more of the stuff that's coming at us at these days.
Yeah. And the recommendation
to be out there and be, we're supposed to do our part, but then there's the part where we look to the Lord to order our footsteps around the problems, look to Him to just do whatever is needed to preserve our life, to preserve His people's life in the earth.
That's right.
That's what always comes to mind when I hear things like that. And I mean, like I said, it doesn't mean we're just act stupidly and go, just like people, I'll stand in front of a truck, it won't hit me because I believe in God. Well, you better move. We don't do things like that, but we pray and we ask Him to be a watch guard over us, over these things that are coming on the earth.
That's right. Mark, did you want to jump in there for a
I
second?
think we take for granted just what we do have here in the United States. You know, the ability of different organizations to monitor what's going on and keep us safe. And I mean, we hear these news stories, and they branch out from one direction to another into other countries, and on a regular basis, I do thank God for being able to be born in a country like this, to live and maintain in a country like this. I mean, we virtually just never have to worry about it. We never have to, or we don't think about it. I mean, unless you are infatuated with the fact that it could happen, which I'm not. I let the Lord lead my path, and I don't worry about these things, though I'm aware of them. I think we forget sometimes how blessed we are to live not only in a great country, but and to have a God that does monitor our lives around us, our the people around us, our environment around us, the ecosystem. I'll tell you what, that's one thing that is rarely talked about, is the ecosystem. Each one of us have our own ecosystem. Matter of fact, I taught on this on the virtual conference we had several years back, is ecosystems and how that works even with God. And I think we take it for granted, and we need to be aware of that and thank God every day and on a regular basis.
Yes.
For what
Thank
we
you, Mark.
have.
I want to say welcome to Terry, who is the lady who we've been speaking of that took the fenbendazole and is seeing complete healing in her body. So welcome to the chat room. Anyway, you may have been listening, but now we see that you're here. So it's so good to have you. One of these days, we're going to have her come on and give her testimony. Anyway, well, Mark, guess what time it is? It is time for our main topic, the battle of the mind.
Which I love that music. It makes me feel as though I'm a robot. It makes me feel crazy. Okay. It's where do I go? Let me just start from the beginning. Hey, how about that? The battle of the mind. And when I hear that title, The Battle of the Mind, it makes me think of the words insane, crazy, and normal. These are three words that really aren't three words. They can go anywhere you want them to go. Anyway, let's start with what I have up here that I've researched out, because I have my own thoughts. But let's see what the world on Google has to say. Google, is that a normal name, by the way? Okay, insane. Here's the definition based by Google Dictionary. In a state of mind which prevents normal perception, behavior, or social interaction. Seriously mentally ill. An informal definition: shocking, outrageous. So insane can be something that is shocking, or it's just outrageous. And I'm going to bring it into perspective as much as I can during this. I'm going to be the example here, and we are talking about humans on these definitions and the things I've looked up. Talking about humans, I'll be the human example for this. There are times when I'm shocking, and I've even been called outrageous. So, am I insane? Hey, Google, what does Google say? When you look up a word like insane and then deaf, you can do that a Google search, and it'll get, first thing you do is going to get a definition, and then you can kind of scroll down, and there are subtopics there. And the next one down from this is people also ask, what is the actual definition of insanity? Insanity, mental illness of such a severe nature that a person cannot distinguish fantasy from reality, cannot conduct his or her affairs due to psychosis, or is subject to uncontrollable impulsive behavior. Insanity is a concept discussed in court to help distinguish guilt from innocence, as a matter of fact. I have known a couple of people that I knew had bipolar. As a matter of fact, I lived with a person for 10 months that was diagnosed bipolar, and the difference from day to day, or every few days, in this person's concept of reality and the way they acted, all that type of thing, would normally make a person think that they were insane, when in fact this person was quite sane. We had a lot of very in-depth conversations that were great. So that's also something I wanted to bring up, is there are illnesses that are day-to-day things that we come in contact with that can be perceived as either insane, crazy, or a broad spectrum of this. Searching down here, let's look at the difference between crazy and insane. I haven't got to crazy yet, but we're going to jump to this. Both are similar to mad or mentally deranged. However, these two words are often used in different contexts. This is the real key here. Crazy is mostly used in informal speech, whereas insane is more used in informal or legal context. This disparity in usage is the key difference between crazy and insane, and it's true. And I think on a normal, regular basis, I think in a normal, and we'll get to that definition pretty soon, in a normal person's day-to-day life, the use of the word insane is going to be in a more formal concept, but the word crazy is a general word. That's just crazy, man. It's some crazy stuff, man. And so there is there's a contextual difference there, and I think the person hearing these words used can get the general gist of what the person is trying to say. Now, one thing I kind of liked on looking this up is an urban dictionary, which usually is a little more whacked. The dictionary, it's made up by millennials. It's made up by the younger generation. I'm 65, and I look at things at a little bit different view than the younger generations. I wanted to read this real quick. It says, the standard definition of insanity is inaccurate and completely useless. It refers to insanity as some sort of disorder that sometimes occurs to some subgroup of people, rather than more correctly stated, that it is not the exception, but rather the rule for Homo sapiens. So they're saying insanity is more the rule rather than the exception. No one could possibly look at what is happening in our world and believe all of its the product of billions of conscious minds. So nobody that's sane can look at the world and what's happening and say this is not insane. I mean, it's a good statement. It's instead the result of nearly an entire race of people operating on autopilot, like so many poorly programmed robots. Remember, written by the newer generation. There is let's just sub this and say I agree with that, in that as a general whole, and if you're a history buff and look back on things that have happened, what's going on in the world today is quite crazy. But there have been crazy things that have happened in the past. And if I were to do an hour and 15 minutes on this, I could give examples. But I think you know what I mean if you look at certain instances. So moving on, the word insanity in Wikipedia starts right off: crazy, insane, madman, barking mad, and madwoman, are different words that are used for the whole spectrum of individuals and behaviors that are characterized by certain abnormal mental or behavioral patterns. Insanity can be manifest as violations. This is good. I like this. As violations of societal norms, including a person or persons becoming a danger to themselves or to other people. Conceptually, mental insanity also is associated with the biological phenomenon of contagion or infections, and that goes on and on and on like that. So let's go to crazy because of my time constraints here. Crazy means insane. Oh, hey, what do you think? Someone who doesn't see reality the same way as the rest of us is crazy. Once again, let's go back to the terms insane and crazy. Insane is more of a formal term, and there's boundaries, I think, is the best way to look. It's almost a legalistic boundary type thing, where to be mentioned as insane by regular society, did they go past this boundary in these given areas? And at that point, then now, yes, we can say they're insane. Whereas crazy is just things that are done, like talking about flat earth using Play-Doh. See, that's a little crazy. Talking about how using the normal scriptural understanding of that in the last days a loaf of bread will cost as much as a day's wages, but using a payday bar, which costs $2.38 for a payday candy bar, cost is absolutely insane. To me, that's the normal use of insane. They need to go look at the payday company and look at the executives and say, $2.38. Somebody come in here and find out whether or not these guys have crossed the insane boundaries. Now, see, to talk about that, that's a little crazy. But, so sometimes, though, crazy actually, from the battle of the mind point of view, really, is it all that abnormal? It's just a conceptual idea of from one point of view to another point of view. Now, there are people that enjoy to be a little crazy, a little abnormal in some instances, so that it sparks fun, it sparks a thought. A lot of times I go to a next level type thing of talking about something that normal people wouldn't talk about, to spark you to think, gosh, that's not right. Maybe we shouldn't think that way. Look at sometimes, John brings up news items that are just stinking off the wall, but it seems like it's a little insane that this could happen, but yet it did. So it's that can be considered a little crazy. See, it's not necessarily insane because it hasn't passed those boundaries legalistically. Let's put it that way. Now, let's take a look at the word normal. Normal. Google, look up Google, just go to Google, type in normal space DEF. That's definition. It says conforming to a standard, usual, typical, expected. Let's go down here. Let's see, the usual, average, or typical state or condition. Let's go down. What does normal really mean? Being normal means being standard. Being normal means like everyone else. Being normal means superior people were once seen as abnormal. Ooh. Okay, so if it means being standard like everyone else, then I am in the battle of my mind. I am claiming here and now in public, I'm abnormal. Now, I remember, oh my gosh, this was one of the best. You remember the movie Young Frankenstein? It's just one of the most abnormal, crazy movies that there is out there. And if you're looking for fun and a laugh a second, go rent the movie or find the movie Young Frankenstein. And we all know the story. I'm not going to go through the concept of Frankenstein and the book and the movie and what it's about and everything. But there's a scientist and he messes with God's creation, and he has several brains over on the sign in a case, and there's several brains, and they are all labeled a certain whether they're normal or not normal or whatever like that. And he asked his servant to go get him a brain, and he sees this one, it's abnormal, and he calls it Abby normal. So this is the one he likes, and this is the one he brings him. So it is normal. Are you normal? Might be something you want to think about. Might be something you want to go. You might want to do. Let's look at the Urban Dictionary. This is a word. Urban Dictionary. I love it. The only thing I love about millennials, they have to write this. I love it. A word made up by this corrupt society so they could single out and attack those who are different. That's it. That's all I have. Can't hear anybody. I can't hear anybody. Oh,
there you go. Insane. I guess I should sit up. I was chilling. Insane, crazy, normal. Sherry, what do you have to say?
Well, I always like, Mark always brings us to a different perspective of the subject, which is really good because it causes our minds to think in a different direction. And that, you know, the definitions there, especially the urban definition, you know, on that is just very interesting about normal and abnormal. And, you know, what they said about that, about the one of the definitions you use is that the violations of a social norm. Well, if there's no any social norms, anything, then it feeds into the millennial thing that everybody's okay, I'm okay, you're okay, you know, you can do whatever you want to do and it's all okay, and you don't have any standards. That's basically what they're saying, is you don't have any standards, which is in their brain, but actually they do have standards because they believe that those of us who are people of faith are abnormal. We are mentally ill because we believe in a living God. So that's, I mean, that kind of blows them out of the water, but that's always been kind of there in communist countries. Russia, when Germany was behind the Iron Curtain, they would pick people up who had faith in God, and they would put them in these insane asylums and give them chemicals to get them to change their mind about it. So are we saying here that normal and abnormal is not it's a moving target? What's normal to some is abnormal to others. What's abnormal to some,
moving target. That's good.
It's a moving target.
Right.
And according to that Urban Dictionary, you know, being the social norms. Well, you know, there's social norms, and then there's just plain old human norms. You know, it ain't normal to kill your child in the womb. I'm sorry, that's not a social norm. That's a human norm, and it ain't normal. I'm not putting condemnation on anyone who has done that, because God is forgiving. And there's been a lot of women's lives that have been ruined by that. And actually, the March for Life today is the March for Life is coming up. That's why my brain went into that direction. So I just think that's they want us to be like everyone else, isn't it? Brad Scott that says they want us to all wear long black coats, fat black hats, and have, you know, everybody look. That's what bricks are. When they made things with bricks, God uses rocks and stones from the field to build the altar. He does not use bricks, because all of us are individuals. All of us are a little different. And yet we still have this norm, this standard, that we're people of faith. So I think that's a very good perspective that you brought out there, especially using that Urban Dictionary, because it tells us what the mind of the millennials is. And
right.
they've actually been a generation that has had God taken out of their lives in a lot of ways.
True.
And that's the path that people go down when they don't have God, in my opinion.
That's true.
You're right. You're right. John.
Well, I have something to say all the time.
You know that.
You don't look happy, brother. What did I do to you, man?
You made me think. That's insane.
Oh.
All right. So, we have these definitions, and you were talking about prevents normal behavior, mentally ill, shocking, outrageous. And so I was thinking about the time when Yeshua had crossed over the lake and they came ashore and arrived in the country of the Gadarenes. This is over in Luke 8. And it says, when he went forth to the land, there met him out of the city a certain man which had devils long time and wear not clothes, neither abode in a house, but in the tombs. And it goes on and talks about that when he saw Yeshua, he cried out and fell down before him with a loud voice, said, what have I to do with thee, Yeshua, Son of God, Most High? I beseech thee, torment me not. I'm reading that out of the King James. Well, I mean, it's in one account of this in the Gospels talk about that he was a man who was fierce. And there was also talking about how they couldn't hold him in chains. They couldn't even chain him down because he had break the chains. The guy was insane, and the people thought he was crazy. And to make the point, dropping down a little bit further, Luke 8:35, it says, then they went out to see, this is the people from the nearby cities, what was done, because all his demons went in the pigs. They went swimming, drowned. So can pigs fly? Can pigs swim? Okay, going on. Went out to see what was done and came to see Yeshua and found the man out of whom the devils were departed, sitting at the feet of Yeshua, clothed and in his right mind. And they were afraid.
Very well said.
And so I looked that up and I was like, in his right mind, because that's really on the opposite side of crazy, insane. And it really says, okay, the battle of the mind, which is oftentimes once our psychiatrists and psychologists, they want to talk about how they want to treat it and give you medications and pharmaceuticals and numb you out. And Sandy had made a comment early, they want us to be zombies. And when in fact, maybe they just need deliverance. And because how much of the battle that's going on in our mind is just from the influence of the demonic, in the demonic realm. And of course, in a polite social society where our demons become sophisticated, we don't quite see it, but you go to the jungles of Africa or South America or in various other places and you just see craziness and people say that's demonic. And there was, so in the battle of the mind, what may take 30 years in therapy may just need time where they need deliverance and be set free.
But the problem with that, and especially in the Messianic circles right now, Hebrew roots, there are many leaders that are saying that demonic on a believer is not possible. And that's completely wrong.
If you follow,
it's completely wrong.
The erroneous thought is if you follow Torah,
that it's
then you can't not be oppressed by a demon. But in fact, Yeshua over in Mark chapter 1, his first confrontation on the Shabbat was in the synagogue. A person following Torah had been demonically oppressed, and Yeshua had to cast that demon out right then and there, and the people were amazed.
And you want to know something? When in our ministry, we've seen it. It doesn't matter if you just follow Torah. Just following Torah doesn't get you saved. Just following Torah is not necessarily going to get you healed. There are things that you have to do that Yeshua took care of on his journey to the stake or the cross. And it's those gifts that sit there and we leave them untouched because we say, well, I'm fine because I'm a believer. I need nothing else. I'm fine because I follow Torah. I need nothing else. Torah's spirit. We got to realize there's a spiritual battle anyway.
Well, think about this is that we know in scripture, they had to take the land and drive out the inhabitants. Well, guess what? Mark, you've talked about this, and in some of the things I've heard you in the past, is that the realm in which we live, even I think you mentioned it earlier today, even our body is a complex land. I mean, I'm going to kind of paraphrase what I'm hearing is that we are
ecosystem
in an ecosystem. And so in an ecosystem, you have places that things reside, like bacteria and all that sort of stuff. It requires a proper balance, proper probiotics to counteract the bad bacteria and all that sort of stuff within our bodies. Good bacteria, bad. Well, it's not just these things, that there is a battle within the very soul, the mind, the will, and emotions, where that's where the demonic come in to oppress. And
not your spirit.
It's not the spirit, but that's where they come in to oppress. One can get saved, but one gets deliverance is a process. It says to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. It's a process by which, as the Father reveals, then we deal with it. And sometimes we need help.
All at once.
And yes, sometimes we need help. And that's where the ministry of deliverance comes in. And we see Yeshua casting out a demon out of one young lady who is a fortune teller. So, there are times that those things need to be driven out, and the land needs to be taken back, and the people will be set free and no longer afflicted.
And you find that in generations that demonic is handed down too. That's why you have, well, I'm an Irish, so I'm angry, and my mother had an alcohol problem. My grandfather, guys, those are demonic. That's demonic oppression, familiar spirits. Mm-hmm. We can go on. That's a whole show, but you're right.
Demons run in gangs, and demons will try to run down through generations. And a lot of people don't they think demons are foaming at the mouth and falling out on the floor. No, you can be demonically, and like you said, another show. Maybe that ought to be our next one. I don't know, but they can be depression, or
rejection,
impulses, rejections, low self-esteem, addictions. Usually you find addictions, that's a gang, because then you got to deal with witchcraft spirits, whole drugs, all they run together. They don't rage. Know that. And that's why there are so many people out there. They are actually deceived into saying what you said a lot. If we just do Torah, everything's all right. We had a lifestyle before we came into Torah, and we need to get rid of the leeches that are still trying to hang on before. But anyway, like you said,
but most Torah observant people are still picking and choosing the commandments. So that's and you cannot just follow a set of it's spirit. The Torah is spiritual. It's a spiritual thing. Anyway, I could go into it. Like I said, that's a whole show. So, Mark, did you want to wrap it up real quick?
No, it's great. I actually had not. Once again, is all of these we could do hours on every individual subject that has to do with the whole range of video series topics. I did not bring it around to a spiritual application, and you guys brought it in perfect. I was a little concerned because John looked very serious when I was done. It's like, what have I done? Where have I gone? Because if I don't see that smiling face, buddy,
I was sitting there. I was taking notes. I was paying attention, and then I was like, "Okay, Father, where's the application?" And then that's where I ended up.
Yeah. So I guess I expected y'all to bring it around to this, because I sure didn't. But I mean, I had a whole nother page on this, but we're good. I appreciate all the input, because this will make a great little segment that I'll put out on Facebook and the such.
Well, you make us think hard, Mark, not hardly think. We have to think hard. and it's good. Yeah. Because sometimes, we need to get out of our mindset, like we said, and think of things from a different aspect.
Well,
Learn a
people,
lot.
these things that I brought out, basically we know all this, but to hear somebody actually verbally say them, that's a different process for us to make us think. Because otherwise it's just general understanding that doesn't bring it into a perspective.
All right. Well, you guys, you heard it here. Hey, thank you for joining me, Mark, John, Sherry. Thank you for your input. And I'm excited for next week's show. And stay tuned for that. And just a reminder, hey, like us, subscribe, thumbs up, all of it. And let us know what you think. And yeah, I guess that's it. So everybody, till next week. Shalom.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.
We are grateful that you appreciate this radio station and the message it promotes about the true lifestyle of hope given in teachings and in songs of worship. Your humble donations will ensure the continuance of the message of hope to brethren worldwide by Messianic Lamb Radio. What does it mean to you to live life Torah style?
Well, to me, is basically the essential is to imitate what Yeshua was, and to love Yeshua and to love our Heavenly Father is to do His commandments. And His commandment never changed. He told us that He didn't come to abolish but to fulfill, and that our righteousness need to exceed those of the Pharisees. We understand it that the Torah is still valid for us today. It never was a way of salvation, but it always was a way of sanctification. In addition, the Torah is used to witness about Yeshua, proclaim Yeshua, and celebrate the appointed times, which point to the past salvation and to the future salvation of the Lord.
Don't go away, your show will start after a brief pause.